Well, I have two co-hosts today. I think Harley's a little bit going to be a little bit more shy for this edition of Hurricane Review, where Carolina does in fact win the game 4-1. They get 4 goals in a game, which is big, but one of them was an empty netter, and it took them a while to do it. I think the score ended up leveling out to what it should have been, but Carolina should have won this game not needing an empty netter, in my opinion. So while Carolina wins, they take steps in the right direction. They show, they didn't have a lot of heart the previous game. They had heart this game. The red flags were still there this game. I mean, pun intended, they were red, but the just in general, the doubts I have, some of those concerns were reaffirmed in the first period and second period and even third period, which the third period was their best period of the season. Carolina, they actually did get some depth goals early on, but I will do a tally next game and then I'll shut up about it. Carolina has 2 games in a row allowed a lot or not allowed got a lot of scoring opportunities that don't even result in a shot on goal or a dangerous chance, right? So I'm going to do a tally next game where every time I see something Carolina make a play off a rush or something, either just turn the puck over, shoot into a guy's shin pads, or not even get a quality shot on goal or a quality scoring chance. So I won't count where if someone gets a shot and it results in the tip and the tip kind of misses the net, that's fair because tips are unpredictable. They're not the easiest thing to control. They're supposed to kind of throw the goalie off. I'm not talking about those. I won't count those. But there were plenty of times where Carolina would go into a rush on the power play too, and they would, either make an extra pass that wouldn't result in anything. They would not connect on their passes that could have been a goal, or they'd shoot it into the guy's shin pads, and you can't have that. You can't, like, Carolina's a team, and they've been this way for years now, and, it's very complimentary of the way the organization's been run since 2019. Carolina has been an organization that has been a team of missed opportunities. They can outplay a team all game. Look at the whole series against Florida in the conference finals a couple years ago. They can outplay a team the whole game, but they can't put the puck in the net because they can't sync up. They don't have killers when it comes to scoring goals, right? And this is the time of the year where goals come the easiest, and Carolina's still flummoxing the puck. Granted, newer core, going to take them a while. I think the reason why even last video wasn't like, oh, we're not going to make the playoffs where bums were washed and said this retool year, usual retool year, we're just going to be mediocre. Probably losing the first round instead of like having expectations to go to the conference final. Is Carolina was a team that when they played, trying to remember my train of thought here. But Carolina was a team when they would play and everything in the playoffs and stuff, they would just have a hard time scoring goals. Especially when teams started figuring out their system, they failed to adjust. In the regular season, it didn't always show. That's what I'm really paying attention to. Even though this is a year, I don't think anyone expects Carolina to win a cup. They're not cup contenders this year. So, but the fact that Carolina came in, they played well. They outplayed a team that was 3-0. New Jersey's off to a really hot start. They showed they still can compete with some really good teams 2 games in. And, I feel like that's an important team. They they played a team that was white hot. And they kind of, if you can't tell, I'm getting back into the swing of things as well. And they come out with the win. But again, those red flags were there. But the Carolina Hurricanes got better and better as the game went on. You could kind of feel it. They started getting momentum. That third line, even though Carolina has a little bit too many third liners on their team right now, but as expected, Carrier honestly fits Carolina like a glove. If when later in the season they have to shuffle around, I think the first guy in the bottom 6, you think about moving up to the top 6, that's on the depth chart is Carrier. I think William Carrier legitimately, he got an assist. He was a really effective forward. I would say probably from the first minute of the first period to the end of this game, Carrier might have been one of the most effective forward out there. Carolina's first line, same thing, but Carolina's first line don't have enough goals yet. Jarvis gets one. Jarvis, hopefully takes another step. First small step in having a really good year, an improving year, Jarvis to get a goal. But I think Carrier, he seems to suit Carolina perfectly. Roslovic, I have a bit of my doubts about. Kotkaniemi, game 2, kind of ready to give up on him. He doesn't really do much. Like if the goal is for him to become a third liner, then that's fine. But I don't think Carolina's got to give up on putting Kotkaniemi at the second line center. It doesn't really suit him. But yeah, I mean, this is so other than the first red flags, Carolina, they skated fast, they're back check. They really won this game through the back check, and that's really what Carolina has to do when they play young, speedy teams. They're going to be up against now because they're kind of the old team. They're the old guard now, which makes me feel old to say. But I mean, the rush, like Jack Hughes could have had many opportunities. There would have been a couple goals that were stopped. Slavin has had an amazing 2 games. This could, like, I mean, he should be nominated for the Norris, but he doesn't put up enough offense to win Best Defenseman to even get nominated. I think that Dougie Hamilton Norris should have gone to Slavin, and like because it shows Dougie Hamilton's still been a good defenseman, but Slavin's shown, he got Tony DeAngelo to a point per game the following year. Brent Burns is really kind of a more effective player when he plays with Slavin, and probably is the only reason Brent Burns is still a top 2 defenseman in the NHL. I wouldn't even say Burns is still one, but I love Brent Burns, so I won't go out of my way to say that. But Slavin seems to continuing to play his dominant game. Sean Walker's another new face I really like to see. Ghost is kind of new, but he's played with Carolina before. He gets another goal, and like has 5 shots on goal. He played really well. I almost don't consider him a new name. He knows Carolina's system, but I honestly, so far these 2 games, Gostisbehere might be better than Brady Shea in my opinion, but I know a lot of people like Brady Shea. I kind of got tired of Shea after the conference final, where him and Pesci kind of kept causing the goals in overtime to be scored against us. So we'll see how things go. But for right now, Carolina, they take a small step in the right direction. Some red flags are still there, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes. 80 games to go. See you guys for the next. Oh, Hurricane of the game. I will give it to Blake. I forget his first name. I believe it was Jackson, but Jackson Blake. I would have given it to Slavin. I think Slavin was the best Hurricane on the ice tonight. But Jack and Jarvis, he scored the goal when Carolina desperately needed another goal because at that point they had played a game and a half with only 1 goal. All of that. That's unacceptable. Even if you're a low defensive team, their average kind of comes back up. They're slightly below the average of what I think an elite defensive team's goals per game should be. But Jarvis scored a goal when Carolina really needed it. Maybe Jarvis can become the killer as he gets better and better and better that Carolina's been looking for. I mean, they had it in Gensel, but Gensel screwed that up. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, see you guys for the next one. Step in the right direction.